Welcome everyone to our weekly Forex market analysis call. And this is in preparation for trading for March 19th or trading for the week of March 19th to 23rd, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As much as there is a chance to profit, there is also a chance to incur heavy losses. So please be mindful of that when taking trades. And also, this is for educational purposes only, and it's not intended to be investing advice. So let's start off, as usual, by taking a look at our Forex Factory calendar here, and then we'll go into, sorry, my brain is not working. Here we go. All right, so we'll start off by taking a look at our Forex Factory calendar, and then we'll go into our charts. To begin the week off here, we do have this Bank of Japan summary of opinions that comes out on Sunday, which is essentially Monday morning for them. Other than that, we have G20 meetings. So when we have any of these meetings, even though there isn't any particular speech that we have to worry about, there are comments that will be made, and there'll be interviews from different leaders. So as a result of that, we could see market prices move as a result of those comments. So it's very important to pay attention to your news feeds to see if anybody's saying anything in terms of the monetary policy, economics, or how the economy is doing, that type of stuff, because it can have market implications. So keep an eye on that. We do have monetary policy meeting minutes for Australia here. Right now, Australia is not raising rates, but again, it's how they are going to talk about it. That's what's going to make a difference. So that will be important for Australian dollar. Going into Tuesday here, we do have CPI numbers for British pound. CPI for UK has been quite good. So it looks like we're looking for a slight decrease here. But CPI, or inflation, is one of the numbers that the central banks will pay great deal of attention to. And as the inflation goes up, there's pressure on to raise interest rates. So this is what Bank of England is facing at the moment. They have not raised rates. However, as the CPI numbers and other data numbers come in positive, there's more pressure on Bank of England to raise rates. So do keep that in mind. And if the numbers come in negative, we're likely to see British pound drop. But if they come in positive, above expectations here, British pound will get a boost. So keep that in mind there. And then we have G20 meetings still continuing on Tuesday here as well. And then we have more data for UK here for the pound, average earnings index, and employment data. So this is kind of like the non-farm payroll numbers that come out for the US. Again, a very important number to keep an eye on. So there are actually three different numbers that we have to watch here. Average earnings index is the earnings, so basically per hour earnings. If they go up, that'll be positive for the British pound. And then we also have the unemployment rate and the claimant count chart. So those are employment figures, and these will be important. If the employment is going up, it will be positive for British pound. And further, we have another major announcement, which will be our FOMC statement and federal funds rate. So it looks like we are looking for our first increase from the Fed for this year. So if they don't do an interest rate hike, that will be negative for the US dollar, because the market is expecting the interest rate hike. But even more importantly, market will be paying attention, or market participants will be paying attention to what's in the FOMC statement, and also what the Fed has to say in terms of the economy, their projections of where we see economy going, and also about the inflation, because that has been a sticking point for Fed. Inflation hasn't gone up the way it has gone up, for example, in UK, or it hasn't kept in line with the Fed expectations. So we need to pay attention to this, because it won't just be about the interest rate hike. A lot of it will have to do with the comments that come out either in the FOMC statement or the press conference. So that will be important. And then we have another central bank here, Reserve Bank of New Zealand. They have their rate statement. They're not expected to change the interest rate at this point. But again, even though Australia and New Zealand are keeping their interest rates steady, although Canada and US have raised them, so there is pressure on these two countries to raise rates, or there will be. So we have to pay attention to what they say in their statements. So we have two central banks there. Going into Thursday, we have PMI numbers. PMI, it is leading indicator for retail sales and GDP numbers. So it is important to pay attention to. And then we have third central bank, which is our Bank of England here. They're going to come out with a monetary policy statement. Bank rate here, interest rate is not expected to increase at this point. But again, like I said, with the positive data coming out of UK, there is pressure on Bank of England to raise rates. So at this time, we're not expecting any of the members to vote for an interest rate hike. Now, if this number comes different than what's expected, we are likely to see movement in the British pound here. So again, keep that in mind. We have a lot of central bankers or central bank statements this week. So I expect a lot of volatility in the market. So it may be important to keep your trade size small, especially when we have these kind of events coming out. Expect volatility and managing position size, and being very careful if you're trading those movements. Just be mindful of that. On Friday here, we have CPI again. This is our inflation number and core retail sales numbers for Canada, which will be important. And then we have durable goods orders. Again, that will be important as well. Going into Saturday, we are changing the daylight times will shift again for our UK or European partners as well. Okay, so that's as far as our news is concerned. So tons of high volatility news coming up, so just be careful. So let's start off by taking a look at our we're going to look at euro dollar first. We'll start off with the euro dollar. So here we see we're seeing a bit of a downwards trend here for euro dollar. But overall, if we were to take this away, euro dollar has been trading in this range for quite some time. It is still not out of the range. So right now, because we are in the middle of the range, and for last 2 weeks, we have seen these pin bars. So I am expecting price to drop. So the first target would be 1.2200 level, and second target, actually this one could go even lower into 1.2160 or 50 level here. So let's say 60. However, we do need to be mindful of this 12200 level. So 12200 has proved to be an important level. So at this point, I am expecting for euro to drop. But do keep in mind, we have FOMC, which could change things. So that's the type of move I'm expecting, a bit of a pushback and then a drop. So the first target will be 1.2200, second target 1.2150. And now if the price does break through this 12150, only then would I expect that final drop into 1.2100. But there is a lot of support if we were to take all these lines away here. There's a lot of support at this level because we haven't broken this in several weeks now. Price has just traded sideways. So we could get a push up from the bottom of this range. So I would be very careful with that level, 1.2200 level. Before looking for a breakout trade, I would be looking to see if there are buyers sitting at that level. So for now, the bias is to the downside. I'm looking for a bit of a push up and then a drop for euro dollar. So bias is to the downside. Pound here, pound has been interesting. It has just traded in this range for the most part here. So let's take a look at our weekly. As we can see, price has pushed up, but hasn't really done much. So this has been a relatively small move for British pound is just sort of stuck in this level now. What will have an impact here will be the Bank of England statement and how those, what they have to say about it. In terms of the bias here, it's still sitting in this slightly downwards trending move here. So I would expect price to basically come back into the bottom of this range at 137.20 level, back towards the, basically go back into the range, and not looking for a huge breakout unless Bank of England comes out with a hawkish sentiment. That will change things, and then in that case, this could go up. So for now, though, I'm looking for price to test the bottom here into 1.3720 level. And now the second scenario would be with Bank of England being bullish. In that case, I would like to see a break above 140. And if we get that break above 140, so potentially even 140.80. So if you get that break above, actually, I like the 140 level. So if you take a look here, there's this support level, which is also acting as our resistance. So if you see a break above 140, then very likely we could go to this 143 level or 1.4330 level, which is the top here of this previous move. So right now we're just sort of sideways. So if you take a look, this is the same move that we were looking at in our euro dollar as well. Price is range bound for now, for the most part, for last several weeks now, and it hasn't been able to break out of this range either to the upside or downside. So right now we are smack in the middle of that range. That's why I'm expecting price to come down. But if it break above 140, then I'm looking for it to go towards the top of the range. That's what we're looking for. Pound. Aussie here took quite a beating this week. I was looking for price to move lower just based on the daily here because price was getting stuck at 0.7900 level. So I was expecting move down, but this is quite a move to the downside. So from our weekly perspective now, we have closed into the bottom, and now we are at that critical support resistance level where the price turned a few weeks ago. However, it seems like the pressure is to the downside, so we could see a move further to the downside here. Next target would be 0.7570, and we could go all the way into the bottom here into 0.7500 level. But first, I would like to see a break. Just with any kind of moves like this, I look for a break, a pullback into the previous support turning into resistance, and then a drop. Because this has been quite a move to the downside. We could see price do a back test or a push up here. So we could get this type of a move and then a break to the downside. So that's what I am looking for. Again, with any of the US dollar crosses, Fed will play a big role. And either way, so if it gets stuck here, we could see that going into the Fed move here. Same thing with here with New Zealand dollar. We have seen quite a move to the downside. This has been a bit of, it has been range bound as well, just like some of the other US dollar crosses that we are seeing. And now we have closed into this bottom here, bottom of the support or into support here. I am looking for a further move to the downside into 0.7120 level here. Again, Fed rate statement will have an important, have an impact on this. So be mindful of that. But for now, just based on the technicals here, I am looking for New Zealand dollar to drop further. Dollar CAD, just with the commodity currencies moving lower, dollar CAD tends to move in the opposite direction because US dollar is in the front here. So with this one, a big bullish close to the upside. And based on that, I am looking for a further move to the upside. But just like the others, because we have seen a big move here, we could get a pullback into 130 level or even lower into this 129.20 level. So I would look for a pullback before a continuation of the move to the upside here. So I would look for a move like that. So pull back, push up, retest of the resistance, and then a break, and then a further move to the upside. So bias is to the upside for dollar CAD here. Swiss franc here, Euro Swiss franc, sorry, hasn't done much. If we take a look at the daily, it's been stuck in that very, very narrow range right over here. Hasn't done much, but the bias still remains to the upside. So based on the daily here, as we can see, this is the move that we have currently. And generally the move results like that. So when you have a bullish move up, consolidation sideways, then we are looking for a continuation to the upside. So that's what's playing out on the daily. Looking at the weekly here, we are still into that, that bullish move. So this looks bullish. The next target that I'm looking for here would be to the upside, 1.1820 level. So the bias for now is to the upside, targeting the previous high. Pound Swiss franc here, this one is looking quite bullish here as well. Okay, so for this one, the next move will be to the top here. Looking for a further bullishness. We have had 2 weeks of bullish candle closes. So it looks like the momentum is still there. It's closed right into the top there. So still momentum in the pair. I'm looking for a move into 1.3480 level. So the bias is to the upside. Dollar Swiss franc here. This one also has closed with the bullish pin bar here. And as such, I will be looking for a further move to the upside. 0.9640 will be the target. Again, just like with the with other crosses, US crosses we talked about, FOMC will play a role in this. So just be mindful of that. But for now, the bias is to the upside with a target of 0.9640 level. Let's go into the yen crosses here. Yen crosses did give us some nice moves. We saw price come into resistance and then price has dropped. So we have this doji or a pin bar. Based on this, I am looking for price to drop further. So for pound yen, the target would be 14500, 145.00, which is at the bottom of this pin here. So if we take a look at the daily, price went up and then it has pushed back. Now, having said that, we'll have to keep an eye on Bank of England because that could change things completely. So news can completely change what levels we are looking at. Always remember that. But based on just purely technicals here, I'm looking for price to drop. So essentially, we have gone into this previous support and resistance level. Price has rejected that level, and now it has closed with in a doji or a pin bar. So I'm looking for price to drop further. Euro yen here. Euro yen, we have had some nice moves to the downside. This one as well has closed with, so this one has closed as well to the downside. So the bias is to the downside here as well. And in this case, the bias will be to the downside, and I'm looking at 128.50 level to the downside. But again, I always like to see a break of these levels to ensure that that it's continuing. So bias is to the downside, looking for 148.50 to the downside here for Euro yen. Dollar yen here. Dollar yen, so all the yen crosses have essentially weakened since we had a look at these last. It has, as we can see, this one has been sideways. It's been holding below this 107.40 target level here. And now we have seen a bearish candle close. So I'm looking for price to drop in this. The first target will be the retest of the bottom here at 105.35 level, or even 105, let's say 30 level here. And once that breaks, I'm looking for price to drop further. 104.30 will be the target. So just be mindful of the range bound moves, because what can happen is one of these. We have seen a lot of these crosses, these pairs have been sideways in a range bound move. So when you see price coming into the bottom of the range, there can be buyers sitting there or pending orders sitting there to push the price up. So be mindful of that. But based on this, I am looking for price to drop. First target would be 105.30 level, and then 104.30 level to the downside. And if that continues, we could even have a lower target of 103.00 to the downside. Aussie yen has dropped a lot just because Aussie dollar has dropped. Now we are right into the bottom there, into that support. So again, this was also sideways. As we can see, it stayed within these two levels for the last 4 weeks here and hasn't broken out. So now we are pushing into the bottom, into the support. So this was an important support resistance level. Now, again, because it was an important support resistance level, I would expect the price to push up a bit before it drops. But it is pushing into the support, which means there's momentum to the downside. So even that retracement may not go too far. And the next target here is 79.65 level, which is the bottom here. And so the bias will be to the downside for Aussie yen. Last one here, CAD yen. CAD yen, just like all the other crosses here, we have seen it drop. And the bias is to the downside here. And the next target, we are coming into support right over here. So that will be important because price could turn there. The next target will be 79.20 level to the downside. So bias still remains to the downside. But when we are coming into important support like that, a lot of times we'll get pullbacks and then a move to the downside. So that's the type of move we can look for. Overall, the bias is to the downside for CAD yen as well. So gold, let's take a look at gold. Gold here has weakened further. Last week, we were looking for further move to the downside. We have that. Now, based on the candle close here, weekly candle close, that's a daily candle close. So based on the weekly candle close, this is bearish and looking for a further move to the downside here. Now, with this one, keep in mind FOMC will impact gold as well because gold is, as we can see, it's in US dollars. So when US dollar goes up, gold goes down. When US dollar goes down, gold goes up. So if FOMC comes out negative, all the dollar crosses will go up, including gold. So just keep that in mind. But based on this one here, this is bearish as well. And as you see, gold has been trading sideways as well in this range here. So a lot of stuff has been range bound over the last little while. In this case, we can look at this move here. So see how this move is similar to the one right here. So we were seeing, let me move this out of the way. So here we saw price sort of do one of these. So following that trend line here, this is a little bit steeper, but it looks similar where price is reacting to this top level here and it's not able to break higher. Now, FOMC, like I said, will play an important role. So if FOMC comes in hawkish, I would expect a move like that. So we could see a drop in gold as a result of bullish or more hawkish FOMC. But right now, it seems like it's pointing downwards. Weekly candle close is bearish. So I'm looking for price to drop into 1293.50 level. And then if, let's say, for some reason, Fed is extremely hawkish, it could drop even further. So see this big move down to the downside, we could see a drop like that on this side as well. Uh, 112.93.52. Did I put this line in here for a particular reason? Oh, this is the next level I'm looking for it to go to. Look at the support here. So I'm just looking for the next support and resistance level, and there's support here as well, or resistance here, which I'm expecting to turn into support. So that's how I'm marking my lines. It's just purely support resistance, nothing really fancy about it. So overall, the momentum's to the downside. So I'm expecting the price to drop from here. Any other questions or anything you want me to look at before we wrap it up? All right, so if not, we will wrap it up. And if anybody is interested in joining my signal service, so if you like the weekly analysis that we do, I invite you to join me for my daily market analysis and my trade room / signal service, where I do the same thing, but on a daily basis. So you get closer to the price action and we take a look at the next, or we project the moves for the following day. You also get, so we do that every evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then it's recorded as well. So you'll get the recording sent out. I also provide my trades that I take. So as soon as I enter a trade, I send an alert in the Skype group. So it'll become part of the Skype group. And I sent a trade alert there. So I also mention where my stop loss is and where my profit target will be. And you also get my pivot point indicator with that. If you wanted to join it on a month-to-month basis, the cost is $97 per month. And you can just go to tradingwithvenus.com/trading-signals to join me there. Or if you wanted a better price point, then I have a semi-annual and a yearly service. With the monthly service, you can cancel at any time at your end. There is no commitment of any sort. But with these two, you get a better price point, but you are signing up for 6 months or 1 year. So if you sign up for 1 year, you're looking at $47 per month. So it's tradingwithvenus.com/product trade-signals-yearly. I will also put that in the notes section there. So if you are interested, I invite you to come join me in the trade room there. Let's take a look at Pound New Zealand charts. Okay. Let's take a look. Pound New Zealand, Pound Aussie. Let's see if I have that chart open. Euro Pound CAD, Euro CAD. Pound New Zealand, here we go. Pound New Zealand is looking bullish. We haven't been able to, it is range bound as well, but that's a very bullish move considering all these previous ones. So that's, it shows momentum to the upside, looking for price to go higher into this 1.9500 level, into the top of top of the range essentially. So we've sat in this range for quite some time. Now it's pushing up higher. So looking for it to go into the top of the range. Euro CAD and Euro Aussie. Euro CAD, here we go. Euro CAD is, so with this one, so it's looking quite bullish. We are into previous resistance. So price had turned here and we had this weekly pin bar that did not play out. Now we are pushing into the highs. So I think we need to go even further out. Let me zoom out, see where we are headed here. This one looks like the next support and resistance level. So 1.6240 level, probably could push that up higher into 50 level. So 16250 level will be the next target to the upside. It is pushing into the high, so that looks quite bullish. So with this one as well, anytime there's a big breakout, I don't like to take the breakout. I like to trade the next move to the upside, which is basically you wait for the breakout, wait for it to pull back, and then take, if it stays or if it holds above that level, then I look for a move to the upside. So with this one, this is looking bullish. So the way I would take a look at this will be to see what happens right over here, first of all. Now, if let's say it does this, goes back up, breaks out, then I'm looking to this level, which is 1.6140 level for price to hold above that and then a continuation move to the upside. But right now it is looking quite bullish. And part of the reason has been because the commodities have been very bearish this week. So everything has dropped, gold, oil, all the commodities have been sort of soft this week. And there was another one, Euro CAD and Euro Aussie. So we looked at Euro CAD, Euro Aussie. Okay, Euro Aussie, here we go. Big move to the upside here. Let's take a look. This looks quite bullish here as well. We are pushing into the highs. There is room to go up further here. Next target will be 1.6160 level. So this is looking quite bullish. With this one, we could get a pullback and then a further move to the upside. 1.5820 level looks like a good level for price to retrace back to. So something like this, test the high, breakout, wait, and then a further continuation move to the upside. So overall bias looks to be to the upside and looking quite bullish. Target would be 1.6180 level to the upside. So this is looking bullish as well. All right, so I think that's all the questions. So you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will see you again next time then. Bye for now.